Could the Halo rings, instead of being a destructive weapon, in fact be our savior in Halo Infinite? And will Cortana attack Chief and turn against him? And how would that even happen? And what dark secrets does Cortana now know since being in the domain? Well, today I got a massive compilation of theories and possibilities for Halo Infinite story. These theories are based on the books as well as the games and subtle hints that we've heard throughout the dialogue in the Halo games, so they are backed up and not just random what ifs. My bet is at least one or two of these theories will end up being pretty close, if not the actual thing that will unfold in Halo Infinite. If you enjoyed these videos and the work I put into them, if you could do me just a quick favor, smash that like button blue to help the YouTube algorithm and get this video out to other Halo fans. I appreciate it so much. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So there is something so super important when making a Halo game, and that is proper context, of which Halo 5 had almost no context. Halo 4 as well, but it was more like a tease kind of thing. But anyway, Halo 5 really lacked a lot of context. You had to understand everything from the comics, the books, videos, and so on to really get a grasp on what the story was in Halo 5. So Halo Infinite, not only because we heard, but also because 343 has learned, will be different. They will explain things much better, and this will probably include a proper explanation of what the domain actually is and how it is alive, and what role it actually will be playing now since the mantle of responsibility has been taken by Cortana within the domain, and also Master Chief's unlocked gears and abilities that was bestowed to him by the Librarian, and because that's sort of like an open thread, and also the Warden, and even what Halo 4 and Halo 5's opening cutscenes were about, because neither of them really have proper context, and that certainly shouldn't be everything, and those things should finally be addressed. Now, I am mostly interested about Chief's gifts by the Librarian, which I've talked a lot about and I won't go too much into, but we know one ability that he now has is immunity to the Composer. However, it seems that Chief also has an ancient foreigner telepathic ability to visit the domain, but at this point it is only triggered by external situations. Now, this telepathic ability was also teased in Loot Box, where Cortana was basically able to communicate to Chief over the hundreds of light years in Halo 3, and this should be impossible, but somehow it was, and this is something that I really am curious about. Those loot boxes probably had a lot of Halo Infinite teases in them, but now knowing that, let's move forward. So my biggest and most likely theory for today is the relationship with Cortana and Master Chief turning sour. In Halo 4, they were friends. They talked about Halsey fixing her, and then eventually she died and passed away. It was sad. A year passed, and then Cortana basically manipulated Chief, was different, and tried to lock him and his team, Blue Team, in a Dyson Spear for 10,000 years, while she enforced peace across the galaxy. Now, when she lost John, she screamed out his name in anger. Obviously, this is something that she is very upset about and felt like she maybe lost a part of herself, and something that is still important to her despite her acting kind of evil and crazy. After which, we realize that Cortana is effectively hunting down everyone that has control, especially the military, but also the Infinity, but also Dr. Halsey, and undoubtedly Master Chief. But how is she hunting? Because if she finds Locke or Dr. Halsey, she will very likely immediately execute them. But what about Master Chief? Obviously, this is someone that she loves, someone that she cares a lot about, but how is it going to be now that Master Chief is actively undermining her and actively, destroying her plan? And that's what I suspect he's doing between Halo 5 and Halo Infinite. I imagine she might grow frustrated. Maybe this untrusting and corrupted Cortana, whom has lived past her 7-year time and has fully gone rampant, but also kind of been cured, but nonetheless kind of going crazy, Cortana may begin to lash out John, use ransom like his friends, or even kill him acting ill-tempered or murderous. What I'm trying to get at is that Cortana may very well cross the line as to what we would expect her ever to do. I'm talking about holding Blue Team as ransom, telling him to give himself up, acting ill-tempered and murderous of his friends and other humans, which he's already done in Halo Bad Blood. We know Cortana will not hesitate killing resistant humans with Prometheans, and that includes UNSC personnel. So I am very curious as to see what Cortana will do in the next game, because I think the cuffs are off. I think Cortana will do literally anything, mass murdering people to threaten John to come back to her, is a possibility. Things like that. So that might be very shocking. How 343 executes that, I'm not sure, but if you have any ideas, let me know down in the comments below. Cortana's death and resurrection might finally have some explanation too, and how that might play into the game might be a bit shocking. So let me explain. In Halo 4, Cortana's original chip is destroyed. We saw it in the terminal, it disappeared, vanished at the Didact showdown. Cortana would then fragment herself, attack the Didact, and then use that same Forerunner hardlight shield to essentially wrap Chief around him, basically so he wouldn't be obliterated by the nuke he just sent off. However, Halo Tales of Slipspace explained that Cortana was actually slipspaced away into a place called Genesis, which we visit in Halo 5, and spoke with the Warden. And during this conversation, she actually went, I guess, behind him, digitally speaking, and overthrew him. I'd also like to get more context as to how this happened and love to see this in actual cutscene, because for most Halo fans, we don't really get a clear understanding as to how Cortana actually survived. And I'm sure it's in the game through dialogue and whatnot, but I think it's something that is worthy of a flashback, wouldn't you say? And also a flashback of how Cortana was tortured and corrupted by the Gravemind in Halo 2 would be really interesting, because I think her motive in Halo Infinite will unconsciously be working for the Flood and with the Flood via the logic plague set there by the Gravemind. There is also the question of how Cortana is now having access to dangerous secrets harbored in the domain and its vast extent of knowledge and records. As quoted by himself, the Warden, she acts pretty damn cocky and enlightened in Halo 5, and she might actually know crazy things, shocking things that we don't even know about in Halo lore. And perhaps Cortana is right, and this might in of itself be a shocker that we are playing on the wrong side, or maybe Master Chief might even turn sides after he knows these dark secrets. And as a side note, we may finally get more Forerunner lore, as it felt like Halo 5 lacked that compared to Halo 4. Another shocking thing to see, although we've talked about it a lot and there's a lot of people saying this as well, is that there will be a copy of Cortana. I wonder if 343 is actually going to bring her back in this way. I mean, this is something that Cortana was worried about in Halo 4, and since Halo Infinite is being called a spiritual reboot by Bonnie Ross at 343, I wonder if Blue Team, when going back to Reach, as confirmed in the book Shadows of Reach, releasing later in September, is actually retrieving the materials or pieces or whatever components needed to make another Cortana model, basically to defeat evil Cortana. Now, this could deeply offend and break evil Cortana's heart, making her go from wanting to save Chief to wanting to kill Chief and thinking him as a traitor, as betraying her. And also, to add to this, if there is a Flood outbreak, Cortana might just grab everyone's DNA or use it from already set capsules and Forerunner facilities and use the Halo rays to destroy everything. Although the one thing that might stop her from using the Halo rings to erase the Flood would be Master Chief and how he would also die, and she wouldn't be able to do that. So there might be a massive hunt for Master Chief in the next Halo game, which I made a whole video about a long time ago, but I love the idea that there is a massive hunt for one guy, and if everyone finds him, everybody dies, because she will fire the rings soon after he is saved. So anyway, let me know your thoughts about that. Another theory is that the Banished will have a large part to play in Halo Infinite, and much like the Covenant sort of in Halo 2 and Halo 3 actually became our friends, or there was actually a fractured part of the Covenant and a big uprising or overthrowing. What I would like to see as far as a twist on this kind of play would be that the Banished in of itself, Atriox, agrees to help humanity in Cortana's regime. Now, this would be very interesting. A lot of these characters and events were set up in Halo Wars 2, setting her up as a villain and also the Flood. So we might have Cortana and the Flood on one side, and then the Banished and everyone else on the other side. But there's a lot of alliances and factions to go around, and how they actually work together or against each other should be very interesting and dynamic, and might even be shocking to us and how that unfolds. Halo Infinite may also shock us with a massive sacrifice or a complete flip on narrative or the power dynamic. And the way it happens for me is way more interesting than the actual sacrifice as well. Of course, a dramatic, heartfelt character death can only be as effective as the character themselves, and the more we like them, the more effective. But the way the death happens is really going to be the shocker. It could happen many different ways, but imagine for a second Cortana killing Blue Team in front of Master Chief, for example, like through an incinerator. They just zap away and die. Or Cortana uses a Foreigner beam, catches the Infinity, and cuts it in half to kill the so-called warmongers on board. And Thomas Lasky and maybe Dr. Halsey are at risk of dying there or do die. So these are just some ideas I had right off the top of my head. But Cortana killing Master Chief's friends and loved ones might be something that could completely change Chief's understanding of what is going on here and how he reacts to Cortana, taking it maybe a bit more seriously, a bit more to the heart, and we might finally see that human inside of him that we have been being teased with throughout Halo 4 and 5 so far. So quick break, guys. As you probably know, I often talk about Audible. I got a partnership with them a while ago that essentially allows me to offer you guys a free audiobook for 30 days. You can get any book you want, including pretty much any Halo novel, and apparently, since you like Halo stuff, it might be a good idea to pick up Halo Evolution, because that book actually has a lot of Halo anthology stories in it, and if you just like listening to stuff, you could throw it in the background and learn a lot about Halo that way. All right, let's get back into the stuff. So this next thing might not be such a big shocker if it turns out to be true, because now we're talking about it, but I think it would probably be the biggest oh crap moment ever in a Halo game. So a lot of us, I think, are kind of in the back of our head expecting Chief to finally resolve this thing with Cortana. She died, now she has power, and now we expect a Chief for him to save the day. But what if he actually doesn't save the day? Maybe he does stop Cortana, but maybe the power dynamic flips to the Flood. Maybe at the very end of the game, we see something similar to Halo 5, where Cortana has complete control and takes over everything, but it's the Flood this time. Maybe the Flood is spreading throughout the entire galaxy. I think this approach of having the protagonist being screwed over at the end of a story was wonderfully done in Avengers, and so that's something that I would love to see in Halo Infinite. Having the Flood come out on top at the end would, in a way, be hilarious, but an absolute dread. But just like in Halo Wars 2 DLC, we saw a little bit of that. The Flood had been awakened out of High Charity, and now they escaped onto the Ark and likely all over the galaxy. I mean, the opportunity for them to once again wreak havoc is likely to pour over all the way years later into Halo Infinite's timeline. And not only that, but the Halo rings, ironically being a terrifying super weapon that us, Master Chief, the UNSC needs to destroy because those damn Covenant keep trying to fire it for the Great Journey, might be the only thing that can save us from dying. Maybe the Flood is so widespread that basically the galaxy has to hit a reset. They have to get to safety. They have to transport billions of people to safety to fire these rings so the Flood does not get everywhere. Cortana apparently still has the index according to the loot boxes, and really, as far as we know, she is the only one that can fire these arrays, so it may come down to her firing them or not deciding to fire them. And it could also be that Cortana was actually the one that destroyed the ring, given the context that the pilot says they lost everything, and perhaps that ring there is the only way to stop the Flood and to literally save this entire galaxy from dying to the Flood. So now let's talk about Master Chief's new companion. So I suspect that the pilot will be kind of acting like Foehammer in Halo 1, kind of driving him around to important places, kind of acting like his personal pilot here. But where is Blue Team? Because we have not seen Blue Team at all, and in order to have a story that consistently shows us narrative, we need a companion. That is what Cortana's main function has been throughout the games, as well, one for a story perspective, but also just kind of talking to us and giving us context and telling us things and advising us things. So who is Master Chief's new companion? I think a male AI would be really cool, and Kim Bias as an AI companion would be very interesting. He has such a creepy, morbid voice. In June 2020, there was actually a Funko Pop leak that had some text referring to someone or something called Vakra, and that could be a new AI, considering that one definition in one language means a Vakra is a net to catch deer. And so perhaps this new Vakra is a new Cortana model, or it could be a completely new AI, maybe one that the Infinity created specifically for Master Chief. And there's also some talks about Durandal, which would be a male AI AI that would help Chief with everything. And I think a male AI would be a nice twist on everything. My bet is on a theory that I recently talked about, is that it is a part of the SPDR program, which was actually in Chief's HUD on the E3 2019 cutscene trailer thing. So I think that program will be intact here. And that program, if you don't know, is essentially something that is supposed to fix AIs when they are unable to fix themselves. So when looking back at Halo 4 and Halo 5, and I would argue that a lot of big stories, memorable movies, for example, have plot twists that revolve around the key characters. So for Halo 4 and 5, the big bad guy Didact being awoken and then wanting to change everything, and Cortana actually dying, and then Cortana coming alive, and Master Chief being a so-called traitor by the UNSC and ONI, and then Cortana betraying Chief at the end in a sense, then taking the mantle of responsibility, basically overthrowing any sense of power in the galaxy from any other individual civilization. These are big things that usually revolve the key characters and what they're doing. Even in Halo Wars 2, Anders is separated from the Ark in the Spirit of Fire. She is gone, and then she is stopped by Cortana, by a Guardian. So with these things in mind, think about what is next. Halo Infinite, the big shockers, the big spoilers that people might be talking about soon, will revolve around Master Chief and Cortana. Remember, 343 is doubling down on Chief too, since Halo 5 had the whole Locke controversy and how most of the game was about him. They are really digging deep with Chief's personality and likely his actions. Maybe it was actually him that destroyed Zeta Halo or Cortana. I would say the chances of one of those two characters destroying Zeta Halo is very high, 98% likely it was one of them doing it. And something big regarding their friendship, I think, as I alluded to throughout this video, will happen too, like one of them trying to kill the other, and some heartbreaking scenes as well. Guys, if that Audible offer earlier sounded interesting, be sure to snag yourself a free Halo audiobook while you can, and also smash this video's like button blue. It would really help me out, boost this video up the search results, and get it out to more Halo fans. And also, if you have any theories of your own, or to build upon any of these ones that I described here, then please comment down below in the comment section. I'll catch you guys in the next one soon. You take care. Peace.